I'm not going to waste your time because I respect you, and just like you, I don't really like when people filibuster. So the Sony BRAVIA 9 is not going to beat the Samsung S95D. We will do other comparisons. We have some awesome comparisons against the TCL QM8 coming up. So again, stay tuned, subscribe, all that good stuff. But diving into just the meat and potatoes of this thing, the Sony BRAVIA 9 is being oversold and overhyped by literally every YouTuber. I do not know why. You can ask them why they're overhyping it, but I will show you what they refuse to. So here we are in HDR, okay? Now, right now we're rocking my settings. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this portal so you can see more of the particle effects, and you can get an idea that the Sony is a sharp TV. They've got a lot of sharpness, but as far as color goes, it leaves so much to be desired. And even the tiny bright highlights leave a lot to be desired in favor of the whole screen being wrapped in brightness. Now, let's say we go to other examples, like we look at the city here. I mean, that looks good, right? There's a lot of strong contrast and dark lines that the Samsung does not have. So where there are shadows, Sony is an HDR, and in general with this TV, they go and they darken the hell out of it. And this gives a factor of depth or a feeling of immersion, right? Which it works. It totally works here for the Sony, and that's great. So you're seeing there are examples where the Sony can outpace the Samsung. But generally speaking, it's not very easy to do for a lot and most of the scenes that you'll see on the Sony BRAVIA 9. Now, what you're looking at right now is a Sony BRAVIA 9 rocking my custom settings, right? And even then, if you look at this building here, this building is going to lack a lot of the color, the detail, clarity, all of it comparatively to what Samsung has. That's with my settings. How you get the Sony BRAVIA 9 looks like this. And this is, again, the Sony BRAVIA 9 in game mode, in HDR, maxed out, right? We went into FPS mode, and brightness is maxed out, contrast is maxed out. We went to brightness preferred over gradation preferred. We went and turned off black equalizer, and local dimmings on high, and peak luminance is on high. If you use the most amount of brightness this TV has to offer, this is what your building is going to look like. That's what I promise you. No one's showing you the settings, okay? So for people that want to be like, oh, wow, only you are right, everyone else is wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the only one right. I'm sure if somebody showed this off the way I'm doing it here, going into the settings, hitting reset in real time and doing all that stuff, I'm very positive that you would see exactly what I'm showing you here. And I will do that in real time. We're going to go and we're going to hit reset, right? Removing any attempts to tamper with the Sony and make it look worse. Well, there you go. It's back to default. And even at default, it looks every bit as bad as what I just showed you. The only difference is it's not as bright now, but it's still every bit as faded and as pale. It's ugly. And it is literally only through my efforts as an expert of painstakingly giving Sony its best shot that it ended up looking like this. Again, a big difference, but not a Samsung S95D. And I have to put this video out there because people get it twisted. They think I care what brand wins, and I don't. I've never cared. It's never been that serious to me because, in my personal opinion, these are just TVs. I know that life has more to offer besides televisions, and I go about it as such. And when I do reviews, I do it from an angle of, I'm a father, right? I'm a father of two, and I don't have time to waste saving my money, what little I have, right, to buy the wrong product because YouTubers want to gaslight me and make me think everything that they've ever reviewed is always amazing every year, no matter what comes across their fucking path. Like, don't you ever hear that shit and like realize that that's not the way the world works? Like, we're all adults here, and for whatever reason, this PG era on YouTube, it needs to fucking end. We need to sack up and say shit the way it is. Be men. Be adults. Don't be Disney adults. Like, fuck, not everything is amazing. And that's okay. You can say, you know what? This TV's shit. They need to go back to the drawing board. Don't buy this bullshit. Instead, buy this. But no, we have apologists and people that rather sit here and just pacify Sony. And when I come out as the Lone Ranger, the only guy saying, hey, look, you're missing ambient light on the Sony. He just looks plastic. He looks like a little plastic action figure toy. Oh, hey, look. You're missing a lot of the details in your colors. They just aren't as vibrant. A lot of people get angry. To which I say, I mean, it's unfortunate if that kind of thing will make you angry. I don't know about you, but I would be grateful as hell if when I personally went to go buy something, there was already a review up from a reviewer that no matter what was always just going to tell me how it was, even if I didn't want to hear it. Like that for me would be huge because I personally like the truth. I don't like to be lied to and then get home, take the shit out of the box and be like, what the fuck did I just buy? And then they're just like, oh, you just bought that hot new garbage from Sony, didn't you know? Everybody's telling you how amazing it is, but in reality, it's actually pretty trash. Like, do you know how bad that feels to like waste your money on a TV like this? Like, and yeah, I'm going to say the Bravia 9 is a waste at this point because for the amount of money that it costs, you're not even getting what the S95D gives you. You're not getting what most TVs give you. Hell, I've shown you like my old full arrays are better. Like my literally Q8FN from 2018. I mean, that shouldn't happen. It has 40 zones of local dimming, but it renders contrast and color better. And it gets to a point where after a while you realize that newer isn't better. And it's not that I mean, this could have been an LG. Shit, this could have been a Samsung TV. Which, by the way, if you think I'm paid off by Samsung, go watch my reviews on their fucking QLEDs. I hate their QLEDs. Their QLEDs are trash. Like literally some of the worst TVs I've ever seen. I'm not a fucking shill. I don't care one way or another, right? And I think if you are real with yourself, you won't rob yourself of your hard-earned money. You see, because that's the thing, right? I have the best in my house right now for my kids and my wife. I didn't fuck them over by spending money like, oh yeah, daddy took care of you to bring them some chaffa-ass TV. I didn't do that. If you want to do that, then that's on you, but that's not something that I do. I make sure when I buy, I make educated decisions. I make sure it's the best. And then I go about it like that. And I just treat you all like you're my family, looking for a recommendation. And then I recommend based off of those factors. I don't recommend based off of like, oh, you know what? I want to make money on YouTube, so I'm going to lie to you and make you buy something for your family with your hard-earned money that I would never, ever end up with myself. That's so fucked up. Like, but that's what they do all day, every day. I mean, look at the color differences on the Samsung, the contrast differences. And the Samsung is cheaper. Let that sink in. Not the 65-inch, to be fair. If we're going apples to apples, 65 to 65, then yeah, the Samsung's more expensive. However, there isn't even a 55-inch option of the Bravia 9 to even go down to, so the entry into the Samsung, this picture quality, is cheaper. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get the same kind of picture quality that I have right here on the S95D. The S95D is just the more affordable of the two. And there are no two ways about that. I mean, I get annoyed, honestly, with the Bravia 9 with how pale it is because I remember a time when Sony they were more vibrant by a lot and it blew you away and everything else. I remember watching a demo in 2013 of Triluminous with quantum dots on the Sony W900A. Who remembers that one? I'm telling you right now, looking at that TV, that's what really got me into quantum dots. So my love for quantum dots started with a Sony, not a Samsung. And Sony since then has just kind of taken a piss on everybody like it's a game or something. Like, no, Sony, we are working for this money and we don't have this kind of money to waste if you're not going to give us a good product. And that's the truth. Now, I'm going on this long gaming example because I honestly believe most people that will buy this are probably looking for a gaming TV. And if you're looking for a gaming TV, you need to see what games look like on it. So I'm being very thorough with this, and I'm showing you the ins and outs of what the Bravia 9 looks like versus the Samsung, because I know that as far as HDR goes, these two are probably going to be like the biggest conversation pieces. Though, don't sleep on the S90D because the S90D's small highlights are way brighter than the S95D by a lot. And it's really impressive. That's what I'll say there. And for anybody seeing me talk about the S95D a lot and thinking, oh, maybe he likes that more. Nope. The S90D is still king of 2024. Like, out of all the TVs I've reviewed so far, that one's still the one that every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, that one's special. The only reason I don't use it is because it's like the mainstay TV and my wife uses it. It's a TV I literally at that point gave to her because she saw how great it was and wanted it. So I'm just saying, when you look at quality, it's undeniable. She didn't come up to me and say, hey, let me get the 95. And every time she sees the Bravia 9, she says it looks like shit. So, I mean, you'll see it for yourself if you end up buying it. You'll lug this 100-pound monstrosity in your home. And you'll fucking regret ever doing it because it'll end up going right back because you know for the money you spent, you might as well just have gone with OLED. And it might sound biased towards just OLED TVs, but, I mean, come on. It is what it is, right? It doesn't look great. You'll also find when you're starting up your game, I'll open up my ISO so you can see this. There is some severe clouding in PC mode on the Sony BRAVIA 9. You can see those dots right there. It's disgusting. And you can see that haze. I'll lower it down so you can not see it, but it's there. I'm going to lower it back down to ISO 640 just so we have it there. And the point with this, guys, is really to show you the difference in color quality and in picture quality for the price. Because I find too often that we get told one thing online and then we see another. And I'm like the greatest whistleblower in this business. I mean, I've been around doing this shit for almost a decade, you know, on YouTube at least. And it really is like, it's one of those things like the more I do this, the more I see that like literally every other YouTuber is literally just full of shit. Like for no fucking reason. Like I don't know the reason if there is one. Because I look at it and I'm like, why the fuck are y'all lying about the Bravia 9 being this amazing TV? Like in examples like this, if you're just looking at stuff like this, yeah, it's vibrant. But there are other factors to picture quality. And I think they only show the examples where the Bravia 9 looks nice, because it does look nice, right? I'm not saying it can never look good, right? But I think that that's all they do. They find the most biased examples, and they don't go up close on objects that would not even stress tested. Just, you can see, like in this example, the yellow is clearly and very obviously stronger on the Samsung than the Sony. The red and all the other colors of the health bar are stronger. You look at this neon board here. Zoom in on it and you can clearly see that it is just more vibrant and more detailed than on the Sony, where it's more faded by comparison and blurry. I mean, you go down this hallway and you look at this neon sign on the wall, and that's very clearly a win for what Samsung has going on. Now we're going to enter a firefight, and more of the same. The Sony has better shadow detail. Fantastic, wonderful, but it's because it's so flat that, like, honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like, it really doesn't even matter that it's got great shadow detail, because it's almost ruined when you look at the picture quality. If we look up at the sky, right, we can see that, again, even contrast-wise, the lights around the building, it just looks tighter on the Samsung and better. And this is where I get to a point where I'm like, dude, there's really no point in trying to make excuses for this. Because anyone, and I promise you, anyone who ends up with this TV, regardless of my review, you'll see everything I mentioned in my review, and then you'll be like, yeah, all right, I see that. And I told you guys, like, even in the reviews of the people who say it's amazing when they do comparisons, you can literally see how washed out the Bravia 9 is, as they say, like, literally the opposite of reality in real time, trying to gaslight you. Like, literally. I was looking at Tech with KG's little video there, and it literally has a washed out ass picture. Totally washed out. And I don't get why they don't say, hey, just don't buy the Bravia 9. It's totally washed out, man. Like, comparatively to everything else in its price range. Say that part. No, really say that part. Compared to everything in the Bravia 9's price range, Bravia 9's just way too washed out to justify it. Yeah, it has strong moments of contrast. Yeah, it has strong picture quality sometimes, but it's too inconsistent. Like in this example here, it has contrast that's on par with the S95D. It looks really good, right? I don't really see a big problem at all, right? And if that's all I was showing was examples like that, then it'd be like, oh yeah, obviously the Bravia 9 is a great TV. It's a Sony. No, zoom in on things, look at things, investigate. You'll start to see where the better highlights exist, where the better color exists, where the Bravia 9 is a bit more faded and a lot less luminous. By example, you'll start to see where the Bravia 9 has less color throw. You'll literally see it if you start trying to look, but not just looking to look, looking to investigate that this is what it says it is, that this is the kind of TV that you expect when you pay over $3,000. Because if all you're doing is just trying to get favor or get units sent to you or whatever the aim is as a YouTuber, well, then that's entirely different from how a consumer would be reviewing this TV. Because I promise you, when you start turning on your games and you start watching your old school Star Wars movies or your sports or whatever you do that makes you buy a TV, I guarantee you, you do it on the Bravia 9, you're going to be like, well, you know what? It doesn't really feel like there was much of a point to upgrading because I've seen better in store. And this is one of those TVs, I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna blow you away. It's just not. Unless all you wanted was like unnecessary brightness just for the sake of some shit being bright, you're not gonna like this. Because as I sit here in Borderlands 3 going around, I'm not even looking at the Sony. I just, it's uncomfortable to look at because of how washed out it is. And I feel like, I mean, this is going to sound mean, but I feel like I'm wasting my valuable eyesight. Like, let's say I become an old man and my eyesight starts to wane. I don't want to have wasted it on the Bravia 9. I mean, that's as real as it gets because, you know, it doesn't look good. And if I don't like the way it looks, I don't want to look at it. Now, there are also some people that kind of get a little confused where they say, oh, we get it. You don't like the Bravia 9, just return it. That's not the point of a review. The review is basically to show you the reality of using this product every single day. And that's what I do. And as you can clearly see, you see the lights, you see everything around you. And I'm showing you a very real world example like gaming and Borderlands 3 because that's something I can guarantee you most of you have already done. And when you really see this example, it really does speak for itself. Like, it truly does. I mean, looking at all the neon lights all around pop off of the S95D. Look at this example right here. Look at just how much brighter and how much more beautiful the Samsung S95D is than the Bravia 9. To which I'll have so many people say, that's not fair, Quantum. No, you don't. This is the brightest 4K TV Sony has ever made. The marketing says so on the fucking Amazon ad. Okay. And you'd be right, but go to game mode, FPS, and let's go ahead and max out your brightness. Your brightness is at 90. Let's set the contrast rather at 100. Gradation preferred. Let's go to brightness preferred. We're going to turn off black equalizer. We're going to turn on local dimming high, and there you go. We're maxed out. Yeah, it's brighter than the Sony, or the Samsung to the left. But do you notice something? It has none, and I mean none, of the color quality that you'd come to expect off of a premium TV. I'm just saying, that literally is the wrong color. It's supposed to be orange, and it's literally yellow because of how cold and how cool Sony's color temperature is. It's not green like it's supposed to be, it's blue. Your purples look off. Your blues, your cyan isn't even cyan. It's literally just cold blue because all they are trying to do is get a title. We are the brightest TV we've made. That's great that it's the brightest TV you've made, but it doesn't mean that the shit looks good. Does it? I mean, hypothetically speaking, if I make a TV this flat and this ugly and this void of color and I sell it for top dollar, I mean, isn't that a little farcical? I mean, don't get me wrong, brightness can be tasty when done right, but this isn't done right. Like, look at the graffiti art on the wall. Like, literally, you don't have any of the shadows, any of the ambient light casting around the bottom here. Look at that. Like, that's it. The ambient light makes the art style, the artwork of a game. I mean, look at the city in the background here. You can clearly see it all. And I do this not to pick on Sony or their fans. I do this so that people who are not loyal to brands can see what's up. So now that we see how disgusting the Bravia 9 is in HDR, we're going to go back into the game mode again. Still HDR, but at least it looks a little less shit with my settings. I mean, that's a massive transformation, as you guys see. But it'll never be an S95D. And I think when that's something that you have to say, then you kind of have to weigh the price up. Like, is it really worth this kind of money then? Because I'm not even doing the numbers that Samsung is doing, but I'm paying the same price. And numbers in terms of, like, again, color coverage and things of that nature, you do have a lower color coverage on the Sony, and it does cost the same, actually more. So honestly speaking, guys, this is just my very long way of showing you what it looks like with HDR gaming. I don't think you really need more than these two examples. I think this really will give you everything that you need. But if it doesn't, by all means, let me know. I have the BRAVIA 9 and I have the TCL coming, and I can show you whatever it is you want to see. But honestly, as I look at the sky, look at that little light there, the sun coming over the rocks. All of this is just so much more expressive on the Samsung than on the Sony. And I think until people start being honest with themselves, a lot more people are going to get duped and feel very put out by the lack of color quality that exists on the Sony BRAVIA 9. And to which all I could say is, it's a damn shame if you get caught and you believe the influencers. But I'm not a marketer or an influencer. I'm a guy making a video because you deserve to know the truth. So again, not an SDR, not an HDR. There isn't a path for the BRAVIA 9 to overtake any OLED, I would honestly say, because OLED just is going to give you, even if it's WOLED, I believe it's still going to look better than the BRAVIA 9. That's how I mean, it's pretty washed out. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it has some very weak moments. I think the only thing it's got going for it is it has better red than LG does, so it maybe might edge out LG. That's it though. It's not edging out any quantum dot OLED ever. Not a single one. Not Sony's quantum dots, not Samsung's quantum dot OLED, nothing. The only thing it could do is just sit there and get bodied, because you're literally watching it happen in real time. So hopefully this very long drawn out, comparison helps you see the difference as far as HDR, SDR, well, not really SDR since we're only doing HDR in this comparison, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, it is what it is. And before we end the video, I'll show you that it actually is an HDR, because there are so many naysayers that are like, oh no, it's not HDR, it's SDR. But again, I'm showing you this in a very, literally a real world fashion type deal. What am I doing? I'm playing Borderlands 3 on my Sony BRAVIA 9, and I got a Samsung TV right next to it for comparison to see who has the better experience for me. And as I look, the better experience is just going to the Samsung S95D. But that being said, I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Climb up on this building so they leave me alone, right? I'm going to show you. Okay, so on the Sony, you're going to look over to the top right, and it's going to say HDR in the top right corner right over there, right? And that's how you know you're in HDR. And on the Samsung, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious that if I'm using an HDMI splitter and I have HDR on one, I have it on the other, so I don't actually need to show anything else. But, you can clearly see. And yes, for my Samsung S95D and S90D owners, I will be releasing new settings for you guys, giving you the best HDR gaming experience you will ever have seen. I've been working painstakingly on this. I will also be giving BRAVIA 9 owners these settings so that they can take advantage of something better than what they were forced to deal with, because I think it's only fair, given that, you paid your money for these TVs, and if you want to join the membership for $5, I'll get you in a better spot. Damn sure get you way better than where Sony got you out the gate. This is how they think you want a game, and I don't know, I don't think that's the right way, especially just because it's HDR doesn't mean it needs to be that bright and stupid. So there we are. That being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. The #1 brand in honesty. The win for HDR gaming goes to the Samsung S95D, hands down. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.